Good morning, dear students. So, we have completed the entire second year PUC syllabus, and also we have completed 7 chapters of multiple choice questions. Because of this COVID, so we have to do the multiple choice questions in online class only. That's why I will going to move on to the your next chapter, that is human health and disease. See here, in this chapter we have studied what actually the health and what is disease, how this disease is caused, and from which candidates these diseases occur, and what are the remedies or what are the weapons or defensive mechanism in our body to overcome or to get rid of these diseases. See here, a person who is to be called as an healthy person, where his or her physical, physiological and mental activities are at normal condition. Whenever these physical, physiological and mental behavior were get altered, such a condition is to be referred as disease. So these diseases are identified based on the symptoms. When a person exhibits these symptoms because of the alteration or variations that occur in the physiological functions. When we are having this change that takes place in the physiological functions, whenever the non-functioning of the organs. So these organs non-functioning, it is because of the what we call it as antigens, or what we call it as foreign bodies. See here, a person who will going to be suffer from the disease because of two things. One is the non-living and the living. Non-living things which constitute the dust particles and even the pollen grains of some plant flowers. Whereas the living organisms which are able to cause diseases, that includes the what we call it as pathogens. So pathogens are the organisms which are able to cause diseases. Why these pathogens are able to cause diseases? So as they are parasites. What is parasite? Parasite is an organism which is able to cause diseases, because a parasite gets the food and shelter from a host organism, and ultimately it disturbs the physiological functions of the host organism. Hence, the host organism suffer from the diseases. See here, in nature, we are having some of the pathogenic organisms which are able to cause diseases like viruses. Viruses are ultra microscopic obligatory parasites, isn't it? So whenever the viruses attack any living host organism, definitely it causes the diseases, because it is 100% depends on the host organism for its growth and development and multiplication. See, we are having the best example of the viral disease called AIDS, which is to be caused by the HIV virus. And we have another disease called common cold, which is caused by this rhinoviruses. Then we have the bacterial diseases. Bacteria are also able to cause diseases in case of human beings. The one we are having is typhoid, which is caused by Salmonella typhi. And we are having the another disease called pneumonia, which is caused by Streptococcus pneumonia. Then we are having the fungal diseases. Fungal diseases. So, the best example for this fungal disease in case of human beings is ringworm disease. This ringworm disease is caused by a fungus called Trichophyton rubrum. And we are having these, what we call it as nematodes. Nematodes are also able to cause diseases. The best example, that is Ascariasis, caused by the nematode commonly called as roundworm, that is Ascaris lumbricoides. And the another one is elephantiasis. Elephantiasis, which is caused by the Wucheria bancrofti or Wucheria malai. And we are having the another pathogen that is called as protozoal. Protozoans are also microscopic organisms which are also able to cause diseases. In case of man, the best example is amoebiosis. Amoebiosis, commonly called as amoebic dysentery, caused by Entamoeba histolytica. And also we have another disease called malaria, which is caused by the Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malariae and Plasmodium falciparum. So these are the some of the diseases which are included in our syllabus, and these are caused by the respective viruses, bacteria, fungi, nematodes and protozoans, right? So whenever we are having these diseases, right, so in order to overcome these problems, right, that is what we call it as the diseases in human body, we are having the defensive mechanism, right? So that defensive mechanism is called as immunity. Immunity. So immunity is nothing but it is the strength or capacity of an individual to fight against the disease causing organisms, so that the human body or the organs were protected against these disease causing organisms. So under this immunity, we are having mainly two types. One is innate immunity, the another one is acquired immunity. So what is this innate immunity? Innate immunity is nothing but non-specific defensive mechanism. So here under this non-specific defensive mechanism or innate immunity mechanism, we are having different types of mechanisms. One is the physical barriers, the second one is physiological barriers or mechanism, and the third one is cellular type, and the fourth one is the cytokines. So physical defensive mechanism, which includes the what we are having, the presence of the skin. So skin acts as a physical barrier. So any pathogenic organism, in order to cause the disease, first of all it has to enter into our body. So we are having some of the natural openings, but the organisms which has to enter the body other than these natural openings, they have to cross this barrier. So that barrier is the skin. So hence skin cover the entire body, thereby it will protect the entry of, it will prevent the entry of pathogenic organisms, right? So skin, and even the mucus layer. So mucus layer that is present in the nasal cavity. so which contain the hairs which are sticky in that mucus is sticky in nature, thereby it will prevent the what we call it as the entry of the microorganisms. Physiological. So the best example is the gastric juice that is produced by the gastric glands present in the stomach, which contain this HCl. HCl will digest or that will kill many of the entered pathogenic microorganisms. And even the tears that is produced by our eyes also contains some of the enzymes. And this salivary juice produced in our buccal cavity by salivary glands also able to destroy the microorganisms. Then cellular barriers. This cellular barriers mainly includes these WBCs. So these WBCs are the bullets or the type of cells that are produced in our body. They are able to destroy many of the pathogenic microorganisms. And the cytokines, which includes the interferons. So what are interferons? Interferons are the type of proteins that are produced by virus infected cells. So these are the non-specific defensive mechanisms which is to be called as innate immunity. That means, so these are the defensive mechanisms which are obtained by birth itself. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಾಗಲಿಂದನೇ ಇರುವಂಥ ಸೊ ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ಗಳಿವು. Then we can move on to the what we call it as acquired immunity. Acquired immunity. So under this acquired immunity, so it is what we call it as the defensive mechanism which is specific to the invaded disease causing microorganisms. So hence it is called as acquired. After the birth of an individual, so whenever the person is exposed to the different disease causing microorganisms, the defensive mechanism which is being developed in due course of its growth and development is to be called as acquired immunity. See here, in this acquired immunity, we are having the what we call it as active and as well as passive immunity. So whenever a person is attacked by a disease causing pathogen or a disease causing microbe, so what will happen? So we are having the immune organs. The one that is called as the thymus and the other one is bone marrow. This bone marrow and bone marrow, so it produces the type of cells, they are called as lymphocytes. So bone marrow is the place where the blood cells are produced. So in this bone marrow, lymphocytes are produced. So these lymphocytes are of two types, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. So these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, they attain maturity on reaching this thymus organ. So thymus is the primary lymphoid organ where these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes were get matured. See here, these are the two types of cells. They are called as lymphocytes, which are playing a major role in providing acquired immunity. So how? Let's see. This is a pathogenic microorganism. Whenever it attack a person called X, so immediately the immune organs will recognize the invaded disease causing organism, right? So immediately the B lymphocytes will produce us what we call it as the weapons called antibodies and also called as memory cells. Memory cells. So this is what we call it as primary response. Primary response. So under this acquired immunity, which is to be called as specific immunity, it occurs because of the attack of a disease causing pathogenic organism to a person. So during which we are having two types of response, primary response and secondary response. As and when a disease causing organism attack a person, this pathogen is identified or recognized and immediately these B lymphocytes will produce the antibodies. So these antibodies are the weapons or the bullets which are produced against this invaded or infected disease causing pathogenic microorganism. So during this primary response, a small number of antibodies are produced, and at the same time memory cells are also produced. So these memory cells keep the memory of this invaded pathogen. See, in due course, whenever the same person is attacked by the same pathogen in the next time, right? So immediately large number of antibodies are produced. So it is called as secondary response. Why? The memory cells have got the memory or the information about this pathogen. Hence, large number of these antibodies are produced against that disease causing pathogen, and ultimately that will get destroyed or its activity is neutralized. So this is how under this active immunity we are having primary response and secondary response. So that is by the production of these antibodies by B lymphocytes. So in human body there are 5 types of antibodies are produced. So these are antibody, that is IgG, then IgA, then IgG, IgA, IgM, IgE and IgD. So this is how we are having 5 different types of antibodies are produced. See, these are the antibodies which are produced by these B lymphocytes. And so these, what we are having, the another type of the lymphocytes, they are called as T lymphocytes. These T lymphocytes, they produce different types of cells in order to destroy the invaded pathogen, which includes natural killer cells are one of the best cells, right, which are able to destroy these invaded pathogenic organism. And also these, what we call it as these macrophages are also another type of the cells. So this is how this active immunity, the immunity or the defensive mechanism that is developed against the invaded pathogen by the human body, by the organs called this bone marrow and thymus, which are to be called as the what we call it as immune organs. Then we are having the another type of the acquired immunity, it is called as passive immunity. So nowadays we are observing that for this COVID disease, right, corona disease, we are having the immunization program. So what this immunization program, which includes the administration of these vaccines. What actually this vaccine includes? That includes the attenuated or killed pathogenic microorganism which is to be introduced into the human body. It is to be called as vaccine. So that attenuated or killed pathogenic microorganism will trigger the immune organs so as to produce the antibodies. So it is what to be called as the passive acquired immunity. And also under this passive acquired immunity, in some persons, the antibodies are unable to produce. In such conditions, ready-made, artificially prepared antibodies were given in order to destroy this invaded pathogenic microorganism. So these are the aspects with respect to this, the diseases and as well as the defensive mechanism in our body to get rid of this disease causing organisms. And what we have studied in this chapter, so we have also studied what we call it as cancer. So cancer is the what we call it as the non-infectious disease. Whatever we have studied till now, this AIDS or common cold, then typhoid, then this pneumonia, then amoebic dysentery, malaria, then this elephantiasis, then ringworm disease, all these diseases are to be called as infectious disease or communicable diseases, which can be transmitted from one person to another person either by sharing the cloths or blades or the other utensils. And even these diseases are also be transferred through the sexual intercourse with the infected person. So anyhow, these communicable diseases can be transmitted directly and also indirectly by some of the vectors such as the insects. Insects are able to carry the pathogenic microorganisms from infected person to healthy person. The best example, that is what we call it as malaria. So which is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. Then we are having the non-communicable diseases, which includes this cancer and as well as this diabetes. So this, what is this cancer? Cancer is nothing but uncontrolled rate of cell division because of the activation of the cancer causing gene called oncogene. Due to this activation of this cancer causing gene oncogene, the normal cell is converted into a cancerous cell. This cancerous cell undergo repeated uncontrolled rate of cell division so as to produce mass of undifferentiated cancerous cells called tumor. These tumors are of two types. One is benign tumor and the another one is malignant tumor. So these benignant tumors are localized tumors. So a person who is suffering from this benignant tumor, so such person life can be saved. Why? The tumors are localized and they can be removed by surgery method. And these localized benignant tumors were not at all spreaded to other parts of the body. Whereas we are having the another type of the tumors, they are called as malignant tumors. So these malignant tumors are spreaded to other parts of the body. Therefore, a person who is suffering from this malignant tumor cannot be saved because these cancerous cells which are produced in a particular place, they get distributed to other parts of the body where they once again produce large number of these tumors, right? The best example is the blood cancer. So these are the aspects with respect to this, the cancer we have studied. See here, as I already told you in your theory class, this oncogene is activated by certain agents. They are called as the cancer causing agents. Commonly they are called as carcinogens. So these carcinogens, which includes the physical agents, which includes the X-rays and ultraviolet rays, then chemical agents and also the biological agents, which includes oncovirus. Then as far as the diabetes is concerned, so what is this diabetes? So diabetes is nothing but variation in the blood glucose level. A normal person, in a normal healthy person, where the blood glucose level range from 80 to 120 milligram per ml of blood. So this normal blood glucose level is maintained by two hormones, right? One is the insulin hormone, the other one is glucagon hormone. Glucagon hormone. See, these hormones are produced by the pancreas. This pancreas is one of the gland which contain two types of cells. One is the beta cells and the another one is alpha cells. Beta cells produce insulin hormone and alpha cells produce glucagon hormone. So these two hormones maintain the blood glucose level always at an optimum range, which is to be called as 80 to 120 milligram per ml of blood. So any variation in this blood glucose level causes the dangerous effect. So we are having two options. Either the blood glucose level may get increased, or the blood glucose level may get decreased. Increased blood glucose level, it is called as hyperglycemia. Decreased blood glucose level is called as hypoglycemia. Whenever the blood glucose level is more than that of 120 milligram per ml of blood, the condition is to be called as hyperglycemia. So during that hyperglycemia condition, the blood glucose level should get decreased. How? By a factor called hypoglycemic factor. Hypoglycemic factor is the factor which decreases the blood glucose level. So which is the hypoglycemic factor? Insulin is the hypoglycemic factor which decrease the blood glucose level. How? This insulin hormone produced by the beta cells of the pancreas stimulate the body cells to absorb the glucose molecules present in the blood, and also this insulin hormone convert the extra glucose molecules into the glycogen, lipids and as well as the proteins. Thereby the blood glucose level is brought back to this normal range. Hence it is to be called as an hypoglycemic factor. A person who is suffering from this hypoglycemia, that is decreased blood glucose level, where this glucagon hormone is produced by the alpha cells of the pancreas. This glucagon hormone will convert the glycogen molecules present in the liver into glucose. Simultaneously, the lipids and protein molecules were also converted into the glucose molecule. Thereby, the blood glucose level is increased. Therefore, this glucagon hormone is to be called as hyperglycemic factor. So this is how we are having the mechanism, right? So that is, one is the insulin hormone, the another one is glucagon hormone. These two are the hormones which are responsible for the maintenance of the blood glucose level at an optimum range. So this is how we are having the condition what to be called as homeostasis. Homeostasis is the condition in which all the physiological functions are maintained at a normal range. The best example is this diabetes. Okay. So these are the aspects we are having with respect to this chapter. So in the next video class, we shall discuss some of the questions with respect to this chapter. Okay. Thank you.